Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one, we're going to be taking a look at the new Inferno X set, which has been fully revealed, all 80 cards of it. So yeah, Phantasmal Flames will not be a very big set, it seems, but hopefully like the sets after that will be, back to normal and back to being a bit bigger. But yeah, hopefully this also doesn't affect the pull rates too badly, like we don't end up with really horrendous pull rates just because there's less cards in the set. So yeah, it is quite a small set overall. But as for the first evolution line that we can take a look at here, we have a new Vileplume line. I think this might be the Oddish that was in that limited Pokemon series because there is a Mismagius EX in this set, which I think was also featured in that series. So I'm guessing we'll see like Phalanx EX and Darkrai EX at some point, which is kind of cool. But yeah, this Gloom's kind of interesting just because you don't always see Glooms like spreading damage. So might be relevant for GLC, but I don't think it's super important for standard. Then we also see a Vileplume, which says if his Pokemon was healed this turn, you can do 180 damage for a single grass, which, I mean, it's not awful, I guess, but like you're still like not one-shotting anything. Vileplume has to survive as well. Like if this had been like your opponent's active is affected by a special condition, then maybe that would be a bit better. But yeah, as it stands, unless we get some like crazy damage modifiers for single price Pokemon, like I don't think 180 is really going to cut it. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame. More of a GLC card. Then we do get to Mega Heracross. Now, I really thought Mega Heracross would be terrible, like really, really bad. But this card honestly isn't that bad. Like Panzerhorn doing 100 damage, and if it was damaged by an attack during your opponent's last turn, then it does that much more damage, which is really nice because it only takes 2 grass energy, so it's very easy to get going with like Ogerpon and Energy Switch. And then Mountain Thrust for 3 grass energy does 170, and you get to mill 2 from the top cards of your opponent's deck. And as you might know already, there's a ton of trainers in both Mega Evolution and this set that are geared towards like healing Pokemon. So like we might actually be able to get this to work basically as some kind of like tanky mill deck. Now, it is a bit unfortunate that it only has 280 HP as a 3 price Pokemon. That's I think the biggest downside here is just the fact that it could do with being a bit tankier. But I think overall, like you do 2 shot everything. Well, most things at least. 340 is like still not that bad. You're still milling. You can still do a ton of damage with Panzerhorn. Like, yeah, I don't think Mega Heracross is that bad actually. Like, it could be a fun deck, I think. So, yeah, I'm curious to see if this goes. You could also like make some really funny meme decks with Lurantis. So was it Lurantis? No, it's Lilligant. So like you could stack like 4 Lilligant on the bench and do like crazy damage with Panzerhorn. So yeah, I think that could be really fun. Next up, though, is we have a Ludicolo line. Now, this says once your turn, if you have a Mega Grass Pokemon in play, you may heal 60 damage from one of your Pokemon. So if this had just been like once your turn, heal 60 generically, then like you could have paired this up with Vileplume, I guess. But sadly, it'll just have to be used with Heracross and Venusaur. I think Heracross might actually be a better partner for Ludicolo because, yeah, even though Venusaur wants to play the giant forest stadium, whatever it is, like the lush forest thing from Mega Evolution, I do worry about like deck space in that deck. Like I'd rather make room for things like Wally's Compassion over like another stage 2 line, sorry, to fit into the deck. So I'm not really sure if Ludicolo fits any niche there. So yeah, maybe with Mega Heracross and maybe with like Mega Sceptile if we get it. But yeah, I don't think this ability is super strong as it stands. Then we have Genesect, which I think is a GLC piece. We have Nimble and Low Kicks. Low Kicks isn't bad actually. Jump Shot does 150, then you get to shuffle it into your deck. So you could put a triple acceleration on this guy, and then, or like reverse energy, do the 150 or 180 with a Brave Bangle, and then just like shuffle it into your deck and then promote something like a Mimikyu. So it could be a very fun hit and run deck. And with, a Lilligant in play, you're actually doing 170, which is not bad at all. And especially with like a Brave Bangle and a Lilligant, you will be able to 2 shot everything in the game, including all the megas. So I'm kind of interested with Low Kicks. I think this could be kind of cool actually as a solid little budget deck. So yeah, looking forward to giving Low Kicks a go. Then we have a new Charmander line. Charmander itself, I don't think will see the light of day just because it has a higher retreat cost than the one we currently have. Although if you are running Air Balloon over something like a skateboard, then maybe there's an argument. But I think the 8 HP also just like negates Poffin, so pretty big downside there. Steady Fire Breathing doing 40 damage, so Charmeleon not really contributing anything. The Mega Charizard EX is interesting. Like I'm still not 100% sold on this card. Like it's not garbage or anything, but I don't think it's broken. Like discard any amount of Fire Energy from one of your Pokemon and you do 90 damage for each card you discard in this way. It's so similar to that like tag team that really flopped in the game that everyone really hyped up. The Reshiram tag team. Was it Reshiram and Zekrom? I think ends Reshiram and Zekrom. Like it was a really popular tag team before it launched, and then everyone quickly realized it was a clunky mess. And I kind of worry that this Charizard falls into that category. But like it's decent, right? You can still one shot things quite easily. We've got Oricorio, we've got some other fire type support. Like I don't think it's that bad, but I don't think this is like anything crazy. This is definitely not Gardevoir EX levels of silly. I don't think so. Yeah, unless we see some more mega support. But yeah, I don't think it's bad. I just don't see it being like crazy. Now, then we have a Moltres that I'm quite excited for, actually. It does 20 damage, and if your opponent's active as a Pokemon EX, it does 90 more. So you can do 110, which I don't think is that bad for a single energy. And you pair this up with like Brave Bangle, get some Brute Bonnet Poison shenanigans going in. Like, I think this could be a fun single prize deck. There is kind of like a single prize box brewing right now with like Scizor, Zoroark, and Tortuga. And I think Moltres could also find a home in that, some sort of like luminous box. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Moltres actually. It seems like quite fun. Then we have a Darmanian, which I'm going to be honest, I think this is a GLC kind of card. Then we have Reshiram, which is kind of similar to the amazing rare Reshiram, for those of you who played during the Sword and Shield era. For 4 energy, which is quite expensive, does 240, but you do 60 to yourself, and it costs 4 energy. I mean, it's expensive. Like, I'm guessing they want you to pair this up with Embor, but like, thing is, I don't feel like Embor is that consistent enough right now. Like, Embor still needs other pieces. Like, you could still build like a Reshiram Embor budget deck, I'm sure, and get away with it. And like with a Brave Bangle, sure, you're doing 270, but I'd rather just play EXP share at that point or something. But yeah, like I don't think this card is bad. Like it's not trash, but like it's probably not great either. Then we've got Oricorio EX. As often as you like during a turn, if you have any Fire Mega Evolution Pokemon in play, you can attach a Fire Energy card from your hand to one of your bench Fire Pokemon. Okay, so like Reshiram could be your single prize attacker, I'm guessing. So that's kind of nice. Okay, so like Reshiram's like a very solid one-of in like the Oricorio Charizard build. Okay, so that's kind of cool. So Reshiram will have a place after all. But yeah, Oricorio, very useful with Mega Charizard. I'm curious to see what the other Megas do. Like you could pair this up with Mega Camerupt and be like a more tanky deck and just focus on stage 1s and stuff, which could be fun. But I'd rather see what like Mega Houndooms do and stuff like that, and Mega Delphox that was recently revealed. I'm curious to see what they do in the TCG as well. So yeah, we'll have to save Oricorio X for later, but definitely worth picking up at least one of these, I think. Then we have a new Charcadet, which has some nice artwork. Then we have a new Ceruledge. Now, this one is actually really interesting because it's a pretty sizable buff to the Ceruledge EX deck. There used to be a really good deck in the game, and then just like really fell off post-rotation after Radiant Greninja was rotated out. So yeah, Purgatory Slash for 1 G does 220, and you get to discard 4G from your hand, or this attack does nothing. So that seems like a mega downside, but Ceruledge EX, of course, is doing 30 damage and then 30 more for each Pharyngy in your discard pile. Or is it? It might be 20 times, actually, for a Pharyngy discard pile. But still, a very nice card to have in that deck, just because it gives you a really nice, just flat damage. Like Ceruledge kind of struggles with flat damage in the early game. And it also just gives you a really nice single prize attacker. So you can like really stuff over your opponent's prize race if you don't have a boss. So yeah, I really like this card, actually. I don't think it'll be good outside of that. Like, I don't think this is enough, really, to be a single prize budget deck, but I do think it's enough to be included in the Ceruledge deck for sure. So, yeah, that's exciting at the very least. Then we have a new Dewgong. Now, I think they really dropped the ball with Dewgong here. Like, it's an interesting card at the very least, so it's not just like vanilla bulk, but it is still kind of bulk. Like, Seal is 80 HP, so there's no pop in there. Dewgong can only do 140 damage for 2 energy and take 30 less from attacks. Like, it's just not very good, sadly. Like, it's a very cute card, and if you wanted to run this in, like, a cube format or GLC, then that would be a good place for it, but yeah, not for standard, sadly. Then we have a new Swinub, which is nice, so we're finally getting, like, the water-type version of Mamoswine to go along with the fighting-type version of Mamoswine, which is actually kind of relevant, because if we ever get any really good water-type Pokemon support or search, then there could be an argument to you playing like Piloswine and Swinub in water form, and still playing like the Mamoswine EX, it's fighting types, something worth bearing in mind, of course. Then we have a new Mamoswine, which I'm going to be honest, I think this card is terrible. Really big shame here. Like, Mamoswine was kind of on the rise with Mamoswine EX being usable, but this is just grim. Like, I just don't see the potential here at all. which is a huge shame. Like, definitely more of a GLC piece, at least. Then we have a Suicune, which, again, I think is more of a GLC piece. But Crystal Force can do 120 if you have 3 or more Water and Gene play, which I don't think is terrible. Like, it's not that bad for applying some pressure into the game, but I think the game has just gone way too fast now. Like, the game is just really fast to not really have a place for these kind of attackers, I don't think. So, yeah, it's a bit of a shame, but I don't think Suicune has a use outside of Cube and GLC. Then we have a new Piplup line, which is always nice to see. I love this evolution line. There's nothing really too crazy here, although I do think it's worth mentioning that Piplup does have Aim and Dive, which does 70 damage from one of your opponent's Pokemon. So if you were to play the Relincanth, then Empoleon EX could copy Aim and Dive. So I do think that's worth bringing up at the very least. Then we have Rotom EX, which your Pokemon with Rotom in their name can have up to 2 Pokemon Tool cards attached to them. Like, that's kind of fun, I guess, but the thing is, the Rotom deck that does this, like the Gadget Show deck, it still needs like 2 energy to attack, and we currently only have like Crispin and EXP share to get it going, so I don't think this will be enough to make that deck good. There is a Bronzong, however, that we can talk about later, which does like a much bigger tool drop modifier. So like maybe Bronzong Rotom EX is actually just better than a pure Rotom build, but you know, it'll be fun to try out these like different rogue decks and stuff for sure. But yeah, sadly, I don't think this card is amazing, but at least it'll be cheap, you know, for casual play, which is cool. Like I predict this will be like a £3 card and stuff, which is cool. Next up, those we have Boltund, which is it's really weird that they made this Boltund the way they did because it's basically just the Dugong, right? But yeah, it literally is just Dugong with like -1 coin flip and no ability. So yeah, that's kind of a shame. So yeah, Bolden's trash. Anyway, moving on, we have a new Palmy and a new Palmo and a new Palmot. Voltage Fist doing 130, and you can do 60 damage to itself, and you could do Paralysis. Kind of iffy to be honest. Don't really like the self damage there. Miss Majesty X, sadly, I don't think is very good. If this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, and when your opponent switches in a new active Pokemon, it is now confused. I don't know how relevant this really is, to be honest. Like, it seems really annoying, but like, I think I'd rather just play Jellicent EX, to be honest. Like, Jellicent EX, I think, just has more value with item lock, to be honest. And like, yeah, inflicting poison with like Brute Bonnet and stuff. Like, I suppose there is like a fun deck to be had out of this, right? Where you do use Brute Bonnet, and then you could like poison both active Pokemon, so your opponent feels like they have to switch because like otherwise they'll be confused and poisoned. And like 150 is just like not enough damage. But I'm guessing you're playing this as like a control deck anyway, so like poison plus confusion could like stack up eventually. Like there is a fun deck to be had out of this. So that is one thing I will say about Inferno X is even though there's only 80 cards in it, there is still like a lot of fun little rogue decks that we can try out, which is cool. So yeah, hopefully I'll find the time and also not feel as crap as I do right now. But you know, hopefully I'll find the time to try them out. But yeah, Miss Magic is kind of cool. Next up is we have Whimsicott. I keep seeing new Whimsicotts in this game, honestly. Yeah, not very good. Moving on. Then we have Zacian, 50 damage. If your opponent has 3 or few prize cards remaining, does 90 more. It's not awful, actually. I mean, in some kind of like single prize Zatu box, maybe a single prize attacker with a Spathra, perhaps. We've got Bramblegast, which is supposed to be a piece for Miss Magius, but I don't think it's worth it, to be honest. When you place Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during a turn, you may leave your opponent's active Pokemon confused. I don't think it's worth it, to be honest. Like, I don't think it's worth it. Like, it's just one-time confusion. Like, yeah, I don't know. There is that item, however, from Mega Evolution, which will let you pick up Bramblegast. Like, it's basically just Evolution Spray. So, like, that is an option at the very least. So, like, Bramblegast is, like, not terrible, I guess, but I don't know. It seems a bit niche, really. Kind of fun in Cube and annoying in GLC, but seems way too niche, really. Then we have another Paldean Taurus. They really like this guy. Raging Charge does 40 damage for each damage counter and all your Pokemon with Taurus in his name. I feel like every 3 sets we just see this attack again in some form. But I mean, it's not that bad, right? If we have, say we have like 5 Taurus on the bench, right? Vileplume does 20 damage to all of them. That is 80 damage per Taurus. I mean, that's not that bad, really, when you think about it. So, like, maybe there is something for this Taurus, actually. And we do have, like, the Lunatone Draw Engine. We do have the Premium Power Pro, which can add plus 30 damage. Okay, I'm kind of, like, believing this guy now, actually. This doesn't seem this doesn't seem that bad. Like, if we can spread enough damage to our own Pokemon, then maybe this could like one-shot some stuff. So, okay, I think this could be a fun budget deck. Yeah, we've got a Gloom Paldean Taurus deck to cover at some point. Yeah, then we have another Glysaur. This is another card that gets a ton of cards. Poison Circle, 50 damage. They're now poisoned and they can't retreat. Seems like something out of the XY era, to be honest. Not that impressive. I guess Retreat Lock is always fun, but yeah, not really feeling it. Then we have a new Flygon. And even though Flygon itself is based around milling, none of the pre-evolutions do it. So like you can't even play Running to copy some mill attack, which kind of sucks in my eyes. Really missed opportunity here. But yeah, when you play to evolve on your Pokemon and when this gets KO'd, you may discard the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck, which seems kind of fun, right? But the thing is, we don't have Devolution Spray. So, like, yeah, I just don't know what they're going for with this Flygon. Hopefully, this means we'll also see Mega Flygon, though, and not just this one. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this. It just doesn't seem like you're milling enough, really. Then we have a new Weavile, which it's not bad, I guess. Like 190 if it has 50 HP or less, but like, it's supposed to be partnered up with Toxtricity as like a single prize version of Mega Sharpedo. That's what they want you to do with this. And like maybe we see Level Ball reprinted or something, but like Claws of Retribution, I don't know if 190 is like really enough in this day and age. Like budget decks really need to be doing like one of kills on some stuff, not just like two shot and everything. So yeah, I don't know if this Weavile's quite doing enough, to be honest. Can always give it a go though. Then we have Mega Sharpedo, Greedy Fang, 70 damage, draw 2 cards. Not bad actually. I quite like this first attack. And then Hungry Draw doing 120, and if it has any damage on it whatsoever, you do 270 for 2 Dark Energy. Like, it is a bit of a shame that you have to damage a 3-price Pokemon just to attack. But like 270 is not a bad number of damage, right? 270, you could get some poison involved, sure, with like Toxtricity, maybe. Not Toxtricity, sorry, Brute Bonnet. So, like, yeah, it could be quite fun. Got free retreat, you could Wally's Compassion, do some fun combos there. You've also got like a really solid single price attacker in the form of Seviper, not Weavile. So, Seviper says if you have any dark Pokemon you X in play, his attack does 120 more damage to your opponent's Pokemon. So, like, for 3 dark energy, you can just do 240, which is like, okay, that's kind of cool. So this is like the Reshiram, I guess, of this deck, which is kind of cool. So yeah, you could have a Sharpedo, Seviper, maybe even just put like one Sharpedo in the deck, and then Seviper is like the main attacker, because 240 is pretty good for a single price Pokemon. So yeah, it kind of reminds me of Okidogi. I'm really pleased that we're getting like more single price attackers, by the way, that can do like really big damage. So that's cool. So yeah, I really like this Seviper. Then we have a new Crocodile. Does this guy do anything? Definitely not worthy of being a Warlord of the Sea. 160 damage, and then 60 more if something was killed last turn. No, I don't think that's very good. Then we have a new Toxel, which is good, has Call for Family, 70 HP, retreat cost of 1, basically just perfect. This Toxtricity is also really good. I think this will like have a big impact on GLC as well, which is really cool. Get to search your deck for a Dark Energy, attach it to one of your bench Dark Pokemon, and put 2 damage counters on it. Yeah, seems really good, to be honest. Like, yeah, there's a lot of like dark type attackers that we now have to rethink about. So it's just a bit of a shame that it is just a dark Pokemon and is just dark energy, but still a very, very versatile and useful card, which I do think we'll see use. So yeah, pretty cool. Next up was we have Empoleon EX to go along with the Piplup from earlier. And sadly, I don't think this card is very good. It just reminds me so much of Archaladon. And Archaladon for 3 energy does a bit more damage and also doesn't give itself like weakness for the next turn. So I just don't really see the appeal of Empoleon, unfortunately. Like, the ability is cool. Like the fact that you have resistance, plus the fact that you take 60 less damage from attacks, plus the fact you have 320 HP, all for a 2-price Pokemon, means this is going to be an absolute menace for grass decks to deal with. But really, outside of that, I don't really feel it's that tanky overall. Like, maybe I'm just doom and glooming, and like this is actually pretty solid with Archaladon or Matang, but I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this one, really. It just doesn't seem as good as I want it to be. Then we have a new Bronzong, which has Tool Drop. Cool. Does 40 damage for each tool attached to all Pokemon in play. I don't think the Pokemon side of things, or like your opponent side of things, I should say, is super relevant here. I think you should always just focus on how many tools you can put into play first, and then whatever your opponent does is kind of just an add-on, basically, excess. So yeah, the Rotom will be, of course, very useful here. You could use triple energy. You could use reverse energy. Like I don't think it's that bad. Like 40 damage is a decent modifier, I guess, for tool drop. It's not like insane or anything, but I do think this is like another solid budget deck that's coming out of this set, which is cool. So always nice to see those. Then we have a Tojmadaru, which is just trash. Like it's just trash. Like it's also like sitting on a conveyor belt for some reason, probably to its doom. But yeah, it's a trash card. And we have Duraludon, which has some very epic artwork. I love these styles of art. Unfortunately, not really doing anything. This Archaladon is honestly like kind of in the same vein as Ceruledge. I think it could be a really nice buff to a pre-existing deck. So like coated attack isn't doing a lot of damage, but it will wall out basic Pokemon, and there is like really good basic decks right now in the game. So it's a nice buff to Archaladon EX. Then we'll kind of like rattle through the last few cards because I don't think they're very good. Wigglytuff has round actually. I didn't notice this before. 40 damage for each of your Pokemon player that has the round attack. So we do have another attacker for that. What was it? Was it the It was the Toad of some description. It'll come back to me what its name is. But yeah, the Toad from the black and white sets. But yeah, that's going to be quite fun. Then we have Apom with Astonish. Who cares? Ambipom with discard 2 energy. You do 60 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. Okay, this is literally just Dugong from Sun and Moon. I don't know how to feel about that, to be honest. I don't think 60 damage is enough. I know why they didn't make it 70, because then that might just be a bit too oppressive, but even then, I don't know if this will ever see play. Like, it just doesn't seem to be enough damage in this day and age, but maybe I'm wrong on that one. Okay, then we have Smeargle, which has some very risky but fun ways of accelerating energy. Then we have Lanoon, which has an interesting card, which is kind of rare to see, but also no Zigzagoon. Actually, wait, is there what's the final evolution line? There's no Obstagoon. I guess Obstagoon would only be a Galarian form, but still, it feels weird to get a Lanoon line and not get an Obstagoon. But yeah, Lanoon does have an interesting ability, Excite Dash. If his Pokemon is on your bench and you have a Pokemon EX in play, you may use his ability and switch his Pokemon with your active Pokemon. So that could be quite fun, with the Zigzagoon expanded and like the Obstagoon and expanded as well, like the dark type ones, which are quite fun. You could also use this as like a generic pivot with an air balloon, which is kind of cool. It's like rush in on a budget, I guess. But it is a stage 1, so I don't know how to feel about that. Like Slash doing 70 damage 1 energy is quite impressive. But yeah, it's like it's not a terrible card or anything, but yeah, I don't know how to feel about that. Then we have a Megalopunny, which I'm kind of excited for, not just for like devious reasons or anything, but it is basically just like another version of Gale Thrust, another version of First Impression. So yeah, Gale Thrust for 1 colorless does 60 damage, and if his Pokemon was on your bench this turn, this attack does 170 more. So it literally is Glisspod, and I really like that because I loved Glisspod Gar back in the day. It was like my favorite deck to play. So the fact that we can recreate Glisspod Garb with Megalopunny and Tortuga is going to be so much fun. And we also have Wally's Compassion, so we can make this card really tanky. Like the closest we had recently was Revroom EX with Tortuga, and Revroom only does like 140 damage. Like it's really bad. So the fact that this can do like, what is that, 230 or something? Like that's not that bad actually. So yeah, I'll definitely be looking at a Megalopunny deck. And then the second attack is pretty grim, but I definitely like the first attack. I think it's really fun. So looking forward to trying this one out. Then we have the biggest scoop of ice cream you ever did see, Jumbo Ice. Heal 80 damage from your active Pokemon that has 3 or more energy attached to it. So they really are like pushing the tanking aspect of Mega Evolution, which is fun. A very good counter to a Dragapult as well, which is really nice. So yeah, very fun card. Heat Burner, I don't think is that bad. You must discard basic Fire Energy card, and then you can discard Tool card, Special Energy, or Stadium. Interestingly enough, like I mentioned this when this was first revealed, but I don't really feel like we've seen a Special Energy that really warrants this. So I wonder if we will see like a really good Special Energy card soon, like maybe a double colorless reprint or something daft. But I feel like we will see something crazy though. But yeah, Heat Burner is a good card. Sacred Charm's a bit whatever, like 30 less damage from attacks with abilities. Not really feeling it for that one, sadly. Grimsey's move is really fun though. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck and choose a dark Pokemon you find there and just put it onto the bench. Really fun with Mega Gengar EX, of course. So, oh wait, that's interesting actually. I never thought about that. So like you could put Mega Gengar EX on the bench, and then all of a sudden your Toxtricity could power Weavile, and then Weavile's like not giving up a prize card. That's interesting actually. Okay, so like maybe Grimsley's move could be the yeah, it could be the catalyst for some really fun decks like Academy at Night and stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this card. Honestly, so many really fun cards in this set. Yeah, Grimsley's move looks really fun. Dawn is another really fun card, especially for like Cube and GLC. Let's search your deck for a basic Pokemon, a stage 1 evolution, and a stage 2, so you can get the full evolution line. Good combo, of course, with the Lush Forest Stadium, but just I think useful in general. Really good for Dragapult as well. So Dawn's a good supporter. Fire Breather, I think, is a bit niche, but in like that Charizard or Choreo deck, like if you're running a Pidgeot engine, you may as well run a Fire Breather, right? Like search your deck for 7 basic energy. Yeah, the synergy is pretty much there. It's good. Then we have Battle Coliseum and Vertigo Valley just to round out the video. Battle Coliseum feels a bit late, but prevent all damage counters from being placed on bench Pokemon by the effects of attacks or abilities. So we do finally have a Monkey Dory counter and a Dusknoir counter, but in all honesty, I don't think this card is like good enough as a stadium. Like it just doesn't feel like enough. Like maybe in competitive levels where you know you're going to face a lot of like Monkey Dory and stuff, so you run like one or two of these in your deck. But aside from that, I don't know if this is really worth it for like the ladder and stuff. But yeah, maybe for competitive players it's good, but yeah, I'm not really feeling it as it stands. Then we have Vertigo Valley, which confused Pokemon don't recover from confusion when they evolve or de-evolve. So another piece for Mismagius, I guess, but probably not going to push Mismagius into like S tier or anything. But yeah, like honestly, a really fun set, like plenty of really fun cards, really fun combos, plenty of budget decks to try out. Yeah, seems pretty good. So yeah, it's been Emma Power. Let me know what you think down below. And yeah, thank you for watching.